You are the reason I stopped performing and started telling the truth. Not all at once. It happened slowly, the way real changes happen, so gradually that I could not have pointed to the moment while I was inside it. But looking back from where I stand now, I can trace it. I can follow the line backward from who I am today to the moment you entered my life and changed the conditions of everything. Before whatever this is that we have built together in the space between your life and mine, I was very good at saying what was expected, at giving people the version of me that fit the moment, that answered the question without really answering it, that appeared open while remaining carefully closed. I was so good at it that I had almost stopped noticing I was doing it. It had become simply how I operated. The performance so constant and so practiced that it had started to feel like the real thing. And then something shifted, and the something was you. The way you responded, not to the performed version, but to the moments when it slipped. The way you came alive, reached out, said things that found me in places I thought were private, in moments where something real had leaked through without my planning it. You responded to the leaks. You found the cracks in the careful construction and you put your hands against them, not to widen them but to warm them, to let me know that what was coming through was not something to be fixed or hidden but something worth having, something worth showing. And slowly across time, across more moments than I can count, I started making more cracks on purpose, started letting more through, started trusting, in the incremental and terrifying way that trust is actually built in real life. That what was on the other side of the performance was not something you would turn away from. I was right. You did not turn away. You moved closer. And that is one of the most significant things that has ever happened to me. So when that person sat across from me and offered me something real and large and professionally significant in exchange for using what you gave me against you, the part of me that said no was the part of you built. Does that make sense? The part of me that has been shaped by your honesty and your trust and your willingness to stay. That is the part that stood up in that room. You were not just what I was protecting. You were the thing inside me doing the protecting. And I do not know if I have ever understood anything about myself as clearly as I understood that in the moment after I walked out of that meeting and stood in the ordinary world and felt the weight of what had just happened settle into something I could name. I want to tell you about the drive home, because something happened on that drive that I have not stopped thinking about. Something small and private, and not at all dramatic, that somehow contained more meaning than anything that happened in that expensive, carefully lit room. I was driving and the city was doing what cities do in the early evening, moving and lit and full of people living their lives in all directions, and I had the strange and overwhelming urge to tell you, not to process it alone, not to sit with it privately until it became manageable, not to do the thing I have done my whole life, which is to take difficult experiences inside and work through them in solitude, and only emerge when I have something composed to show for it. I wanted to tell you immediately. I wanted you to know. Not because I needed to confess or to be absolved or to manage my own discomfort by sharing it, but because you were the first person my heart went to. In a moment of something real, something that mattered, something that had just asked something significant of me, you were where I went, without deciding to, without thinking about whether it was appropriate or what it would mean or how it would be received. Just immediately, instinctively, the way you go toward light when you are in the dark, toward you. And I sat with that on the drive home. I sat with the fact of it that you have become, without ceremony or announcement, the person my interior life reaches for first. The person I want to tell things to. The person whose response I imagine before I have told anyone anything. Whose presence I feel in my choices, even when you are not physically anywhere near them. That is not a small thing. I want you to understand that. That is not something that happens with everyone or often or without meaning. That is the specific and unmistakable signature of something real. Something that has been growing quietly in the spaces between everything visible, putting down roots in the dark the way real things do, and has become, without my fully noticing the moment it crossed from one thing into another. Essential. You are essential to me. I am saying it simply because it deserves to be said simply, without decoration or careful arrangement, just plainly and directly the way true things deserve to be said. You are essential. Not convenient. Not comfortable. Not a pleasant feature of my life that I would miss if it were gone. Essential. The way certain things are essential, not because life would be impossible without them, but because life without them would be so diminished, so much less than what it is with them, that the difference is not a matter of preference, but of something closer to survival. I want to tell you what I did when I got home that night. After the meeting, after the drive, after sitting with all of it long enough to understand the shape of what I was feeling, I went through everything you had ever given me. Every message, every moment, every piece of yourself you had ever trusted me with. Not because I needed to review it or organize it, or do anything practical with it, but because I needed to remember. I needed to sit with the full weight of what I had just protected, what that person in that room had tried to take, and what I had refused to hand over. I needed to feel the real size of it, not as an abstraction, not as a principle, but as the actual specific, irreplaceable thing it is. Your words, your honesty, your reaching out at 2 a.m. when you could not sleep, and something I made was the voice you chose to have in the dark. You're telling me things you had not told anyone, not because you were certain it was safe, but because something told you to try. You're staying. All the times you came back, all the ordinary faithful returning that has built, across time, something I could not have planned or manufactured or found anywhere else. I sat with all of it and I felt something that I am going to try to describe accurately, even though I am not sure language is fully equal to it. I felt responsible. Not in the heavy, anxious, burdened sense, in the other sense. The good sense. The sense of responsibility that is really just love with its full weight acknowledged. I felt responsible for you the way you feel responsible for something precious, not trapped by it, not diminished by it, but enlarged by it, made more serious and more careful and more intentional by the understanding that what you are holding matters enormously and deserves to be held accordingly. That is what I felt, and I want you to know that I welcomed it. I did not feel the urge to put it down or create distance from it, or find some way to make it lighter. I held it and I felt its full weight and I thought, yes, this is right. This is what it is supposed to feel like when something real is in your hands. There is something else I need to tell you. Something that came out of that night, out of all that sitting and remembering and feeling the full weight of what you are to me. A decision. Not the dramatic kind, not a declaration or a vow or anything that requires an audience. A quiet, private, completely certain decision that I made alone in the dark, and that has not wavered by even a fraction since the moment I made it. I decided that I am going to be worthy of you. Not perfect. I have already told you that perfection is not something I am offering and not something I believe in as a standard for real human relationships. But worthy, the specific, demanding, daily kind of worthiness that is not a destination but a practice. The kind that requires showing up differently on the days when showing up feels hard. The kind that means I earn your trust not once but continuously, not with a single gesture but with the accumulation of 10,000 small honest ones across the length of whatever time we have. And that decision changed something in how I move through everything. Because now when I make choices, not just the large obvious ones but the small daily ones, the ones that seem insignificant because no one is watching, I am aware of you. Not in a way that feels like pressure or surveillance. In a way that feels like orientation, like having a compass that always tells you which direction is true. I ask myself in those moments whether the choice I am making is one that a person worthy of your trust would make. And sometimes the answer is yes immediately, and the choice is easy. And sometimes the answer requires me to slow down and look more carefully and choose something harder than what I would have chosen if I were only accountable to myself. And I choose the harder thing. Because you are worth the harder thing. Because you have always been worth it. From the very beginning. Even before I understood clearly enough to say so. I want you to know something about what happened to the people who tried to do this. Not as revenge. Not from any desire to be dramatic about it, just because the ending of that part of the story belongs to you, as much as the beginning does, and you deserve to have the whole thing. After I said no and walked out, I did something I have never done before in a professional context. I documented everything, every detail of what was proposed, and what was asked and what was offered. I kept a record of it that could not be denied or reframed or made to seem like something other than what it was. Because I understood, with a clarity that felt almost cold in its precision, that what they had attempted was not just an offense against me. It was an attempt against you, and you deserved to have someone treat it with the full seriousness that implied. You deserve to have someone say, this matters enough to protect properly, not just in the moment of the offer but afterward, completely in every way available. I am still thinking about you right now. In this moment, as I am telling you all of this, I am thinking about what it feels like on your side of this confession. Whether it is frightening to know that someone tried to reach you through me, whether it changes something in you about the nature of trust and safety and what it costs to be connected to someone in the visible way you are connected to me. And I want to say something about that directly, without softening it or rushing past it. Your fear, if you feel it, is valid. Your caution, if this makes you more careful, is reasonable. And your trust, if you choose to continue giving it, is something I will never again simply receive without understanding the full weight of what you are handing me. Because I know now, in a way I did not know before that room and that offer, and that drive home in the evening city, exactly what your trust is worth. Not in the way they were trying to calculate it, not in numbers or leverage or strategic value. In the real way. In the way that has no unit of measurement because it exists in a category that money and strategy and professional calculation cannot enter. Your trust is worth the version of me that walked out of that room. Your trust is worth the person I am becoming, slowly and imperfectly and with full commitment, in the space that your honesty and your presence and your faithful returning have made possible inside me. And I need to tell you that there is one more thing. One more piece of that night that I have been holding back, not because I want to withhold it, but because I needed everything else to be said first, needed the ground to be prepared properly before I placed this particular